Welcome to Fatima Today. Our special guest is Archbishop John Barwa from Orissa State. Orissa is in the eastern side of India, about 500 kilometers from Calcutta, if you're looking for the state of Orissa. Welcome back to our program.
Thank you, Father Gurne.
And we were talking just before the program started about some experiences in India, and I would like to talk about in Hyderabad, in the state of Hyderabad, about 20 miles away from the city of Hyderabad, in the Andhra Pradesh, actually is the name of the state, but Hyderabad being the capital. And anyway, we were talking about how the people have faith, and they were praying for rain in this village. And about 5 days later, the rain came so much that the people told me that there was more rain than when they have the monsoons. I went there a week later, and they had even still puddles in the field from the rain that came. I was also in Tuticorin in the same way, that they were praying for rain. When the statue came, they had a great rainfall. They were very happy about that, of course. So the rain is a sign of God's blessings. We all need water to water the plants. Even though non-farmers like myself, all the same, we won't be able to get food if the farmers don't get the rain for their crops. And so it's important that we realize that all these blessings come from God. I know that your own family is farmers, and they must have some stories of how their prayers were answered. Maybe you would like to tell some stories like that.
Mm-hmm. Yes. We depend, farmers in my place, all depend on God's blessings, natural rain. And like this year itself, June second half supposed to begin the rain, monsoon, but it was delaying. And I left for already Chicago 2nd July, and every day I am in internet with them, in touch with them, and they write to me, my people from home and from my archdiocese, there is no rain, and everywhere we are praying. Every parish, every family, we have requested for prayers. And by the middle and end of July, I get the news. Again they write, good rain, there is rain. We thank God and continue praying to God. Because people trust in God, because people love, and because there is no other way than depending on God's mercy and love. And always we believe, ask and you will receive. So always we ask Him, and we have received abundance of blessings, and we thank God for this. Even like my mother, once there was no rain, she went to the field to remove pluck grasses, weeds, and it was drying. So she sat there praying on the bank of the field, corner of the field, crying and praying. By evening, there was such a heavy rain. All the fields and everything was full of water. We have mighty experiences of this. Prayer is answered if we really pray, and we have experience. Plenty of examples are there, plenty of experiences are there, and we know it.
Yes, I know you had some other experiences in India, but you talked about in our last program about the persecution of the Catholics. Our Lady at Fatima said that if her requests were not granted, Russia would spread her errors throughout the world, and there would be wars and persecutions against the Church. The good would be martyred, the Holy Father would much to suffer, and various nations would be annihilated. And so the persecution of Catholics is one of the punishments that because we don't listen to Our Lady of Fatima enough. But in the persecution, it's not to say those who are persecuted are the guilty ones, but in fact, they gave the example in Orissa about how they forgave their persecutors. And you mentioned before about a young boy about 18 years old who had a Bible with him. What happened to him?
Yeah, he was found with a Bible in the bus because he was traveling, and he did not know that persecution and all this is taking place. And they pulled him out from the bus because he was discovered with a Bible, and they forced him to follow other gods, become Hindu, and shave off and take the ritual. But he said no, he will never do it, even if he has to die. And then, as the story goes, as the reality goes, they dug a pit and gradually and they put him in the pit, gradually filled the mud, asking the question that will you give up Jesus and faith. He always said never, no, because I have accepted Jesus. I know Jesus loves me. I love Jesus. I will never give up. When it reached the last point, his head was up.
So they buried him
buried him fully
standing up, but not covered. His head was not covered. But everything else
before itself, he told them, "Please kill me and bury." But they said no, and they gradually buried him, standing straight. And when the last, from the neck it is remaining on the top, they asked him again, "Will you give up your faith and become?" He said, "No, never. Do whatever you want." They even showed a huge stone in front of him, limited. They said, "See this stone. If you don't change, don't accept other gods, you are going to be finished." He said, "Do whatever you want." And they threw the stone on his head, and he was finished. Even some of the women, and anyone asks today, they will tell with tears in their eyes, though heart will be bubbling with joy, tears in their heart eyes, which they tell me even today, that when husbands were chopped into pieces, showing them, this is what you are going to face if you do not say no to Jesus. And they have never said no to Jesus, seeing even the husband dying, like one woman telling with tears, "My husband, I saw him being cut into pieces, my child was with me." And they are asking me, if you do not say no to Jesus, this is what is going to happen. And in the end they asked me, "Will you give up Jesus?" I told them, and she never says I told them, but how can I give up Jesus for whom my husband died, for whom my husband was cut into pieces? Can I give him Jesus? Do whatever you want. My husband faced this, I am ready to face. There are hundreds of stories of this kind, which only tells that how courageous that moment people become, because it is Jesus' love. And I can go on telling so many stories, but this is what is the reality.
Yes. So they gave the example. At the same time, people have asked after, because they were the local people were influenced by people from outside, and they bought them drugs and alcohol and then spoke against Christians and Catholics to get them to persecute them. But after now, they're repentant.
I hear the voice. My people come and tell me, "Archbishop, many are asking forgiveness, and we have forgiven." Because then I said, yes, they themselves say we are people of forgiveness. Events we will not forget. It cannot go out from the mind, but we can accept them as brothers. We can live them together. We help them, they help. And we are inviting them to all the parties, and we will join in their celebrations, and we will make a family of love. Because we belong to one family, we village, one area, and we remain so, and we will remain so. This is what is the voice of our people, which surprises them quite often.
Yes, and there, I remember watching this presentation of a missionary priest who's Indian, but he's missionary to another parts of India that they have never even heard of our Lord's name, Jesus Christ. And so he's looking forward to the fulfillment of Our Lady Fatima's promises, that when that happens, that even they will all become Catholic as well, all become followers of Jesus. And of course, this is the best blessing we could give to them, is that they accept our Lord himself in their hearts, and that they accept his teaching, his gospel, and that way they will also experience the love of God. So, talking about Fatima, when did you hear about Fatima yourself? I mean, was it taught in your schools, or was it?
Yes, I heard name of Fatima, and because as a boy I heard Fatima, Mary of Lourdes, Mary of Fatima, Mary of Velankani, Mary of Medjugorje. So for me, those days and later days as well, it did not matter, because wherever it is, Velankani is there, or Lourdes is there, or this my place as well. For me, what I was always thinking, Mother Mary is Mother Mary, because she appeared there. It is the place that is given name. So that's why I was not very keen on the place. But for me, what mattered was the mother.
Yes.
Because I always love mother, and I know Mother Mary loves me. I am her boy, and she is my beloved mother.
Yes.
And in India, Mother Goddess is loved. And wherever, as a boy, month of May was a month, very joy-filled month, because always we had procession in honor of whole month, rosary and praying and having every village May procession, going to the procession and reciting the rosary and singing Mother's hymn. Oh, it was such a joyful, even today. Yes. Every village will have procession carrying the statue of Our Lady. So in that way, I heard more and more. I got interested when I became bishop and started getting Fatima news, and so then I thought maybe this kind of, but then I didn't get into more detail about this Fatima event and Fatima story, because when I became bishop also, we occupied one mountain in the city belonging to the steel plant, that land. And I always promoted that let us make a pilgrim center of our Mother Mary, where she will have a place to look at all her children from this mountain. So people themselves built the grotto, brought the statue, big statue, and I organized a 3 days retreat called another bishop from another diocese. And I always loved Mother Mary and promoted. So I was not very keen to, and when my people started saying, let us call it Velankani Mata, I said, no, don't call Velankani Mata, Mother, our Mother. So that way, so always I was promoting not the name, but Mother Mary. So, but then when I became bishop and gradually I started getting all these letters and leaflets, and then I thought maybe little more, there may be something more deeper into it, because healing even today in many places, I believe it takes place. And when there is a prayer session for Mother Mary and adoration, thousands and thousands come. The last last chance for Fatima
conference, yes, in Rome.
That time also I got all these leaflets and invitation. Then I said, let me go and discover more about Fatima. I used to hear as a child Fatima, 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 but then as I said, it did not bother me too much. But then I said, let's go. And then Julie wrote me the letter saying that, do you want to also share? I said, yes, it will be a good opportunity. So that's the way I came. Before coming, I met some of my colleagues, bishops, archbishops. Should I go, because I don't know much about Fatima? Some said, nobody said don't go. All said yes. Then I said, yes, I should go and know. Before talking anything to anyone or listening to anyone's comment, let me know what it is. That's the way I came to Rome, and it was a beautiful opportunity also to meet you, Father Brunner, and find what touched me most during this conference was the commitment and dedication and the conviction that made me think that there is something deeper, and I still need to know more and more, but surely there is something great in it, and we should realize and recognize the seriousness of it. This is the way I come to know.
The Pope Benedict, when he went to Fatima in 2010, in his homily at the end, he among other things prayed that the triumph, that the victory of Our Lady will come before the year, or by the year 2017. That would be 100 years. Obviously we have not had the triumph yet. But he also said something else which is very interesting. He said that he who thinks that the prophetic mission of Fatima is concluded deceives himself. In other words, people who think that Fatima is for the past, is not for our time, they deceive themselves. And so Our Lady of Lourdes, Our Lady of Guadalupe, all the apparitions that Our Lady, the Church has approved, of course, are all important, because the Blessed Virgin shows her love and shows her concern, and people find those who go to those shrines or invoke her by those titles are touched by her. But why I mentioned Fatima, not only because I promote it, but because it is the prophetic message for our time, which is yet to be fully realized. And in that message, it's unfortunate that more people don't know about Fatima. So, but at least the Pope knows that, we would deceive ourselves to think that the prophetic mission of Fatima is concluded for our time. And John Paul II put it a different way. He said, the message of Fatima is more relevant and more urgent today than it was when Our Lady first appeared. And he said that in 1982 when he went there for the first time. So the other thing he said, the message of Fatima was addressed to every human being. So it's it's not because the Blessed Virgin is not the Blessed Virgin in Lourdes or Guadalupe or Vatican or anywhere else in the world. It's because her message for all mankind was given for our time, was given at Fatima. That's the so it's but they didn't. I learned more about it by my own studies afterwards when I started reading and I started to realize that. But there's a whole documentation. There's Sister Lucy's, all her memoirs are handwritten. You can get the original. You can get a photocopy, I should say, of the original handwritten notes. And it's unfortunate that we don't know as much as we should. Anyway, I'm glad that you've got to know about it, and hopefully, the power of the Rosary. Maybe Sister Lucy said the Rosary is more efficacious and more powerful today than it was before. Not because people in the past didn't pray properly, but because the times are so bad that God has given more power. If we'd only pray the Rosary, she says there's no problem in the world, either physical or moral, either national or international, that cannot be solved, or in our families, or in the religious families, or in the whole world, they cannot be solved by the Rosary. So we must promote the Rosary more and more to get people to, and I'm sure that the Rosary, of course, is very popular in India as well.
Mm-hmm. In this context, because as I am knowing more about Fatima, and if our mother has said, and all of you are so convinced, including me now, Mother Mary said at the Cana, do you are told.
Do whatever he tells you. Yes.
You do whatever he tells you. For me, do whatever you are told to do.
Yes.
So if we are told to do this, to follow this,
yes,
why should we not?
Yes.
Is my question.
Yes.
And with regard to the Rosary, I am a lover of Mother Mary, and I promote reciting Rosary and veneration to our mother.
Yes.
Because mother is the one, because I love my mother. Most in the world ever I have loved anyone is my mother.
Yes.
And I know what mothers are. So in that context only I promote Mother Mary's veneration. And I am going to also in the Archdiocese make a big center of our Mary by this 2013 March.
Yes.
And I know thousands and thousands will come because they receive Mother's love and blessing.
Yes.
So I have no hesitation that if this Mother Mary, Fatima lady has said this, it should be done. And our popes have said this, it is their responsibility also to fulfill. If John Paul II has said, all the more relevant, why it is not made relevant?
Yes.
So these words should be taken by themselves seriously if it is said so.
Well, in fact, on the year 2000, on June 26th, the Vatican published the first part of the secret, which is the vision of hell. The second part of the secret, with the words of Our Lady saying, I will come back to ask for the consecration of Russia to my Immaculate Heart. So they themselves have published the words of Our Lady. And then Our Lady said when she came back, she said, the moment has come which God asked the Holy Father to make and to command all the Catholic bishops of the world to make the consecration of Russia to my Immaculate Heart, promising to save Russia, and I would say the world also, but she didn't say that, promising to save Russia by this means, by this. So, when I write a letter, I need a pen or a pencil. Now, the letter comes to my mind, but on the paper, it's the pencil that does the work. So without that instrument of the pencil, I can't write a letter. Similarly, without that consecration, we can't have that peace. It's that by this means, Our Lady uses the words, by this means that Russia will be saved. And Our Lady says, in the end, my Immaculate Heart will triumph. The Holy Father will consecrate Russia to me. Russia will be converted, and a period of peace given to all mankind. That's a period of peace we haven't had. We still have, unfortunately, many wars. You saw that in Orissa, but we have also wars in Afghanistan and the Middle East and Syria, and all this suffering could be stopped by this consecration. I remember speaking to a bishop from Palestine, Archbishop from Palestine, and I was, they're still suffering there, and I said, so I'm very sorry for that, and I'm trying to stop that by the consecration of Russia. He said, why Russia? I said, what's that got to do with Palestine? I said, it's got everything to do with Palestine, because when Russia is consecrated, then the whole world, including Palestine, of course, including Syria, including the whole world, will have peace. So it's the connection. I could explain, I think, the connection, but in the message it doesn't explain exactly the connection. It just says, consecrate Russia, and Our Lady will give peace to the world. So that's why it's, I think, so important. And that's why I think the Pope says the message, the mission, the prophetic mission of Fatima is not concluded yet. And if we think it is, we deceive ourselves because it's not concluded.
Mother has said, I believe it is to be done.
Yes.
And as I said, I am Mary's boy.
Yeah.
And a little experience I just want to add.
Sure.
Because though people may not believe, messages come. I have heard the message and I know it. Because 2006 I was consecrated bishop, and to make the story very short, on 29th I was consulted by nuncio then, and with a little longer stories but short, I agreed to accept the invitation of the Holy Father through the nuncio, and he said it will be announced on 7th February, but due to some reasons they anticipated and made in 4th. And when immediately this nuncio asked me to write a letter to the Holy Father of my acceptance, I wrote it, and letter to Holy Father but addressed on the top of the envelope to nuncio. And I got a reply on 3rd, it was a Friday, February 3rd, and 4th, 4:30 in India, 12:30 in Rome to be announced. And that evening, 3rd evening, I kept the letter under my pillow because it is secret, not yet known. So I went to a place for prayer, one high official in the parish where I was parish priest that time. So they brought a vehicle and asked me to travel with them to a family for prayer, family prayer. I went. Praying time, as to the elder brother was a high official, government official, high ranking in the Indian government. Second one, brother was a chief medical officer, both the families. But these elder brothers, one son was with us, and the second brother has 3 girls. As we are praying in the family, second girl gets into a kind of vision, apparition. She covers her face, which family knew. So her father went to him. Then the girl said, call the priest. I was in cassock because first time I am praying and joining the prayer. That time I came to her close by, and this girl says, son, today onwards you are bishop. Your life will be difficult, sad, but not to worry. My blessing, my love is always with you. Pray for your priests. They need to commit them. The exact word is, pray for your priests. They are not living the life of their vocation. But don't get disturbed. Continue praying for them. Do you know who I am? I said, no, I don't know. She says, I am Mother Mary. Everything stopped. This girl doesn't remember anything that she said. Following, I came back and remained like this. Following day, the announcement at 4:30 Saturday, 4th February took place. So this is first, and this way I had 3 different time experiences. So I am convinced Mother Mary speaks, and I know this girl spoke to me. Later also reference is made when I went second time, though I had some difficulty. I went for prayer. She asked, same girl, similar situation, asked me, do you remember, son, how are you? I said, I am happy, fine. Do you remember what I had said? I said, yes. Do you pray? I said, yes, I am praying. Continue praying. They need your prayers. Third time I went, it was 2011, when I was supposed to be announced Archbishop, 11th of February on the feast day of our Lady of Lourdes. 4:30 in India, 11:30, 12:30 in Rome. So morning I wanted to come to the same place for prayer, and I did come morning. 11 o'clock it was in the morning, because I had to go back to Rourkela where I was bishop. I came and started the same process, prayer. This girl, middle girl, that time, when first time it was around 14 years, now 7-8 years are over, so 11, 21, around 2021. Similar thing happened. I was called and she says, son, today onwards you are Archbishop. Not yet announced. Afternoon only announcement to be taken place. But be happy, take care, things will be all right. My blessing and my love is with you. I believe Mother speaks, and I have no doubt on it. And Mother has spoken, we should obey. That's all.
Yes, yes. Well, yes, it's certainly the Blessed Virgin, of course, she's the Queen of Heaven, and she's also our Mother. And as the Queen or as our Mother, we should obey her, of course. And so we will continue to work and pray for this to take place. And I'm sure that Our Lady has some special role for you to help that happen. And Our Lady will show it, I'm sure, one day. So let us pray for that. The other thing she asked for, of course, was the first Saturdays, the devotion of first Saturdays to receive Holy Communion, go to confession, receive Holy Communion, pray 5 decades of the Rosary, and keep her company for 15 minutes, meditating on the mystery of the Rosary, doing these 4 things on the first Saturday of the month with the intention of making reparation to her Immaculate Heart. And that's something we can all do ourselves. All Catholics can do that themselves. Of course, only Catholics can receive Holy Communion, and we can promote others and let the people know about that. I see we're running out of time here on this program, and so we must experience for ourselves the power and the love of the Blessed Virgin. Do this yourself. Pray the Rosary every day. Ask her to help you in your needs. Ask her to show you the way to God. As Our Lady said to Sister Lucy, "Are you sad, my child? Do not be sad. My Immaculate Heart will be your comfort. My Immaculate Heart will be your refuge and the way that leads you to God." Let us ask Our Lady to be our refuge and our comfort and the way that leads us to God. Pray the Rosary every day. God bless you. We'll see you again.